Can you recount an altercation you had with a Luddite? Perhaps you left feeling unsettled about beliefs that were previously entrenched in you. Although technological change has its downsides, as with everything else, it also has upsides. Mobile phones are no exception in this argument. I will argue that its drawbacks are overly exaggerated, hence we must embrace it. In general, negative information spreads faster than good news. Our natural inclination to harbor menacing thoughts makes us gravitate toward bad news. Observe the structure of our local news channels. Most of the content focuses on events that require us to take immediate action or form an opinion. If the content is mainly on things that affect us negatively, we are more likely to continue watching. That is not to say our local news channels dwell on bad news or that it is wrong for these channels to broadcast negative news. Often, the day's talking point is about something terrible that has happened to someone or a tragic event with tremendous repercussions. Gossiping about a successful personality, a politician, a movie star, or a religious head is also common. Television channels like UTV and GTV host good news programs. However, they also capitalize on propaganda and speculatory information because it increases viewership. Any popular or trending personality is welcome to share information, and the credibility of the guest is not their primary concern. Controversial people especially are welcome because they are more likely to stir conversation. These channels have a very large following, so they are influential. Technophobes raise the concern that phones are becoming more detrimental to our health. Over the past 3 decades, phones have drastically improved. The iPhones of today are more advanced than the landlines of 1992. While mobile phones emit radiation, they have very low frequencies and long wavelengths. There is no evidence that it has adverse effects on the body. Claims that mobile phones are dangerous and cause cancer have inundated WhatsApp group chats. Every week, my grandmother sends me an updated list of phones that are harmful to teenagers. My parents are no exception. Time will fail if I begin to recount the warnings my father gives on mobile phones. Don't put your phone in your pocket. Always receive calls with your left ear, he says. I remember the first mobile device I got. It was a tablet because at that age, I had not proven to be responsible enough to merit a phone. I tried to convince my father that a phone and a tablet are the same thing in different form factors. All my peers had phones, and so I felt like the odd one. Whenever I asked for a phone, I was presented with the mantra, if we get you a phone, you will keep it in your pocket. No amount of begging could change their minds. As I grew older, my love for technology also grew. I came to understand that the premise of my father's warnings were rumors. If you had a child and even a stranger told you that their life was in danger at school, you would be tempted to withdraw your child from that school. The credibility of the person would be relegated because the concern a parent has for their child sometimes overshadows thinking ability and logic. I appreciate my parents' concern for me. However, they must realize that they have been fed lies. Contrary to the popular belief that mobile phones negatively impact academic performance, they are essential for academic success. In the olden days, when digitalization was non-existent, people relied on traditional sources to obtain information. A student living in that time period would have to visit a physical library to complete homework or consult friends or papers written by renowned individuals. Albert Einstein discovered relativity because he built ideas based on the information available. The same is true for Isaac Newton and Louis de Broglie. Today, data is easily accessible. With the click of a button, we can scan through hundreds of libraries and thousands of books. I cannot help but wonder what the world would be like if Albert Einstein lived in our day. We could have flying cars or relocate to Jupiter. With this much information, a person of his caliber would develop extraterrestrial inventions. The average student does not have the intelligence quotient of Isaac Newton. Nevertheless, the students can observe significant academic improvements using mobile phone resources. Many people argue that mobile phones are a distraction to teenagers. Their solution to the problem is to prevent teenagers from having phones in the first place. But a teen must have a phone in today's world. Phones make communication more efficient, and they are a contributing factor to the world becoming a global village. Imagine being in a school without a phone. How would you receive emails? How would you make calls? How would you complete assignments? While other technologies can perform these tasks, a phone is the most rudimentary and cheapest. Since the beginning of time, man has encountered distractions. Being able to control your attention is an excellent strategy to prevent them. This implies that distractions will continue to evolve. However, we must find ways to eliminate them. Consider this scenario. A group of people are distracted in a physical library due to the large amount of shelved books. Would it be rational to demolish the library to restore their focus? Certainly not. A more feasible solution would be a hybrid system where books are spread online and in physical libraries. The point is that phones have disadvantages, but the solution is not to abolish them altogether. It is imperative to have an open-minded view of technology. An open-minded view of mobile phones involves a willingness to consider various intellectual perspectives on them, even if they contradict deep-rooted beliefs. Now, if someone were to ask you, are mobile phones destructive to teenagers? What would be your response?